A good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television News tonight. We do hope you had yourselves a very productive Tuesday. Now here's a sneak peek at our edition tonight. President Paul Kagame on Tuesday highlighted that the global sustainability agenda should be one that delivers on its promise, notably without compromising Africa's industrialization efforts. Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente affirms that one of the lessons that Rwanda learned in the last 30 years is that it is key to center citizens at the core of economic transformation towards the country's development. On the international scale in South Africa, more than 24 men have been rescued from an abandoned illegal gold mine in Stilfontein. Once again, we are glad to have a company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali, and I bringing you the news tonight is Martina Abera. Let us kick off the edition by letting you know that President Paul Kagame on Tuesday highlighted that the global sustainability agenda should be one that delivers on its promise, notably without compromising Africa's industrialization efforts. We have more of this report coming from Adam Squizera.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to the stage, His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda.
President Paul Kagame joined His Highness Shah Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, invited heads of state and government, global dignitaries, policymakers, and sustainability industry leaders for the opening ceremony of the 2025 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit. In his remarks, President Kagame noted that current global sustainability agenda has not yet delivered on its promise, particularly in Africa.
Unfortunately, the global sustainability agenda, as it stands, has not yet delivered on its promise, particularly for Africa. Political commitments are not met with action, yet leaving us with endless debates and finger-pointing. Policy options are often not suitable for the realities of developing countries. The stakes for Africa are quite high. First, our population is set to double by 2050. This rapid growth means our economies must meet increased demands for water, food, energy, and jobs.
The head of state shared Rwanda's approaches to sustainability, which focus on inclusion, resilience, and collaboration.
To achieve both goals, we have to adopt affordable, scalable, and economically viable technology. Rwanda's approach to sustainability reflects this, with a focus on inclusion, resilience, and collaboration. We have created a pro-business environment with tax benefits and simple immigration policies. We also launched the Rwanda Innovation Fund to back disruptive companies and attract global capital. These principles have driven practical innovations in many sectors. We have digital platforms that give farmers access to real-time market data to inform their decisions. Zipline, a drone company that started in Rwanda delivering medical supplies, is now valued at $4 billion with operations in US dollars, with operations across multiple continents.
President Kagame emphasized that sustainable development is a collective endeavor, stressing that no nation can achieve it on its own.
We recognize that sustainable development is a collective effort and no nation can do it alone. However, we must learn from the mistakes of the past and move beyond political frameworks that keep us in a stalemate. Technological innovations necessitate pragmatic and result-driven partnerships. Ultimately, technology will depend and succeed where politics is falling and failing in getting us to a sustainable and equitable future. This is why we are so happy about our very valuable cooperation with the United Arab Emirates through the Government Accelerator Program, the 1 Million Coders Initiative, and the Government Enterprise or Government Experience Exchange Program. Our goal is to raise our people's standards of living while keeping in harmony with nature.
President Kagame joined His Highness Shah Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, invited heads of state and government, global dignitaries, policymakers, and sustainability industry leaders for the opening ceremony of the 2025 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. During the opening, 11 winners of the 16th edition of the Zayed Sustainability Prize were recognized for their innovative sustainability solutions. The head of state also made President of UAE, His Highness Shah Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The heads of state discussed their continued commitment to the mutually beneficial cooperation between Rwanda and the UAE and the acceleration of the sustainable development.
Thank you, Adams, for that report. Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente affirms that one of the lessons that Rwanda learned in the last 30 years is it is key to center citizens at the core of economic transformation towards the country's development. He made the remarks on Tuesday at the launch of the Africa Foresight Report 2025. Prince Manzi with more.
The Africa Foresight Report 2025-2030 demonstrates various initiatives and priorities Africa has put in place to meet the 2030 deadline for the SDGs. Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente, who delivered his address virtually at the launch of this report, affirms that Africa is on a promising growth path.
Reflecting on our journey toward the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal, SDGs, we recognize that there is more to be done to achieve our global ambitions. These goals are within our reach. Africa is on a promising growth path, presenting new opportunities across various sectors.
Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente also shared lessons that Rwanda learned in the past 30 years, emphasizing the need to place citizens at the core of the economic transformation.
Building on Rwanda's experience, allow me to share a few lessons that we have learned over the last 3 decades. First, we have learned that visionary leadership is important and citizens must be at the core of the economic transformation to ensure inclusive participation in our development process. Second, we have invested in human capital, focusing on education and skills development, empowering Rwandans to better contribute to inclusive growth. Third, we have put in place strong accountability mechanisms that require all our institutions to properly respond to the needs of our people on time. All this has contributed to the current progress we have achieved so far in Rwanda.
With Africa's dominance of a young and active population, Prime Minister Ngirente shared drivers of Africa's economic relevance in the present and future.
To unlock this potential, we must give priority to human capital development, job creation, infrastructure development for transport and connectivity, agriculture modernization to ensure food security and improve our energy systems. Equally important, we must be proactive in addressing the pressing issue of climate change. The African Continental Free Trade Area stands as a proof of our collective strength, connecting 1.4 billion people across the continent with a combined GDP of over $3 trillion. Promoting the use of modern technologies in every sector is key, and we must continue to innovate and adapt to the changing global landscape to remain competitive.
The report, Foresight Africa 2025-2030 on Sustainable Development Goals, was prepared by the Africa Growth Initiative under the Brookings Global Institute in the United States of America. Apart from the Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente, other speakers at this launch included Botswana's President Duma Boko, Botswana's Minister of Mining and Industry Bogolo Joy Kenewendo, and Rwanda's Ambassador to the US, Mathilde Mukanabana. Prince Manzi, reporting for Radio Rwanda. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
East African Community member states have set a goal to adopt a common currency within the next years, aiming for implementation by 2031. This was revealed by Rwandan members of parliament in the East African Legislative Assembly during discussions with the Rwandan Senate Bureau on Tuesday. The MPs confirmed that significant progress is being made among EAC member states to achieve this milestone. The visit by the Rwandan representatives to ELA aims to update the Senate Bureau on Rwanda's achievements during its 25 years in the East African Community and the strategies to strengthen political integration, ensuring the benefits reach citizens, as emphasized by Honorable Fatuma Ndangiza, the head of the delegation.
For us, it was an opportune moment because we just met them at the beginning of the year after they were recently elected. And of course, as you know, we as EALA members are elected by the Parliament of Rwanda, including the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate. So it is imperative that we come back and account and report back what we are doing. And that's why we had to brief the Bureau of the Senate about the work of EAC, how far we are for the last 25 years of integration, achievements, challenges, and way forward. But we've also discussed about the work of the East African Legislative Assembly and the work of our Senate, and how we can enhance our working relations. So I would say there is commitment at all levels, and at the end of the day, what we want is for us to work closely to ensure that we can effectively represent Rwandan interests. And that's why one of the resolutions was for us as EALA Rwanda chapter members to work closely with the Senate through the commission that is responsible for foreign affairs, so that we can collaborate on fighting genocide and its ideology. We can also ensure that the benefits of EAC integration are fully, that our citizens can really enjoy the benefits of EAC integration, including in the area of trade, that the non-tariff barriers are removed. We ensure that the laws, the pending laws that haven't been assented to by the heads of state, that the Senate and our Parliament in general can help us in oversight, in advocacy, and finally, to really make sure that we work together to ensure that we effectively represent the interests of Rwanda and the interests of citizens of EAC.
The 9 Rwandan EALA MPs also committed to enhancing cooperation with the Senate's Commission on Cooperation and Foreign Affairs to combat genocide ideology in the region. Additionally, they pledged to identify more ways for Rwandans to gain tangible benefits from EAC membership. On Tuesday, the Speaker of Rwanda's Chamber of Deputies, Honorable Gertrude Kazarwa, held discussions with Algeria's ambassador to Rwanda, His Excellency Mohamed Mela. The talks focused on strengthening cooperation and collaboration between the parliaments of the two countries. Ambassador Mela highlighted ongoing joint projects between Rwanda and Algeria, as well as plans for new initiatives in the near future. He emphasized the deep-rooted partnership between the two nations across across various sectors, including politics, the economy, and security. His Excellency Mohamed Mella also noted the establishment of a team dedicated to fostering closer ties between the country's legislative bodies. This team will work to exchange ideas and share expertise for the mutual benefit of both nations, particularly given their extensive collaboration at regional and international levels. Speaker Gertrude Kazargwa reiterated the importance of the discussions, which focused on Rwanda-Algeria cooperation and the impact of agreements signed between the two countries.
The conversation that I had with Algeria's ambassador, it was all about agreements that was done between Rwanda and Algeria. It's in so many domains. There's economic and so on. What Rwandans can expect is that there must be a continuity of some agreements in different areas where we have to maintain agreements that we have so far, and again we want to sign other agreements where necessary, and again Rwandans can go for scholarship, for again that removal of visas can also help Rwandans and Algerians to be visiting each other.
Members of the Zigama CSS General Assembly have convened at the RDF headquarters in Kimihurura to review and approve the cooperative's 2025 business plan. The 40th General Assembly was presided over by the Honorable Minister of Defense, Juvenal Marizamonda, alongside RDF service chiefs, heads of security organs, and selected members. The 2025 business plan sets ambitious goals for Zigama CSS, including increasing its gross income and raising its net profit.
We had a general meeting of Zigama CSS, a general meeting that is the 40th time it's happening, and on agenda is to present the overall performance of Zigama CSS for the year 2024 and also present the business plan for 2025. On agenda was to show how the bank is performing on average in terms of total assets for the bank for the year 2024. All in all, it shows that Zigama has a very strong foundation. It has a very important mission that is contributing to in terms of welfare for the members of the bank. That's why it was very important that we meet with at the AGM to present not only the past performance, but also to have the General Assembly approve the business plan for the year that we've started.
Zigama CSS is a cooperative bank composed of members from various security organizations, including the Rwanda Defense Force, Rwanda National Police, Rwanda Correctional Services, National Intelligence and Security Service, Rwanda Investigation Bureau, and Rwanda Forensic Institute. The Ministry of Trade and Industry announces that by the end of this month of January, it will have completed the assessment of the assets of the residents around the Stilurwa factory, as well as the factory itself, in order to determine whether the residents should be relocated or the factory should be moved. We have more coming from Enora Gladys.
Residents living near the Stilurwa factory are affected by the fumes from this factory. Stilurwa is a factory that processes scrap metal sourced from both within Rwanda and abroad, producing reinforced steel bars. Residents living nearby have consistently expressed concerns about the smoke and the noise from this factory, requesting relocation.
You find that the smoke rising and the way it flows is something that may have negative impact to the people.
When it explodes, the windows shatter, houses collapse, and sometimes they even tell us to open the windows. Normally, the alarm titles indicate they are in residential areas. However, recently, some have been surprised to find they are listed as living in forested areas.
Previously, it was recorded as a residential area because, as you can see, we live here. The factory was built here after we settled here, so you can understand that the documents were issued while we were living here. But now when you go there, you find that it has been recorded as a forestry area.
The factory has been operating for 10 years, located in the midst of the residential areas. Some members of the Parliamentary Committee on Land, Agriculture, Livestock and Environment recently urged the Ministry of Trade and Industry to find a solution for relocating the residents near the factory. Telling the factory of steel Rwa what it should do to ensure that the citizens are minimally affected by the harmful gases or those that impact their health is appreciated. But in reality, we are showing you that the problem still exists. The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Kajangwe Antoine, mentions that in addressing this issue, initial measures have been taken, including controlling the factory's emissions. However, efforts are ongoing to secure funding for the relocation of the residents.
We share the problem as a government, and we assure you that we will put in effort to solve it as quickly as possible. Once we secure the budget or all the necessary requirements, what we will do as the Ministry of Trade and Industry will include it in our budget for the next fiscal year. We are confident that the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning will understand, and with your advocacy on this case, will be able to secure the funds to relocate the factory or the citizens.
The residents to be relocated are those within a 500-meter radius of the factory. The Ministry of Trade and Industry indicates that initial estimates suggest relocating the residents could cost up to 3 billion Rwandan francs, while moving the factory itself could cost up to 12 billion. However, they are currently revisiting the figures as some factory equipment was not previously included in the calculations.
Thank you for sticking with us on RTV News, and welcome back to other stories making headlines on the international scene. In South Africa, more than 24 men have been rescued from an abandoned illegal gold mine in Stilfontein after a group representing them said Monday that at least 100 men died after being trapped deep underground for months while police tried to get them out. This and other stories from the African continent in the following roundup courtesy of VOA.
Part of the abduction was to get access to my devices and to get access to the activities that I do online.
Ils ne partiront pas de certains pays. Ils ont juste dissous le dispositif. Vous ne les verrez plus dans des bases, mais dans les ambassades, ils seront là.
Heading over to the United States, in Los Angeles, firefighters are bracing for high winds with a new threat expected to last through Wednesday morning with sustained winds of 80 kilometers per hour and gusts up to about 110 kilometers per hour, the National Weather Service has warned. 3 major fires are still burning in the Los Angeles area after killing at least 24 people and destroying thousands of structures. The following roundup from the American continent, also courtesy of VOA.
I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security.
Jeg synes, det er vigtigt at holde fast i, at det på den ene side er godt, at der er en stigende
Republicans and this majority in the House and the Senate, our intention and our mission is to reduce the size and scope of government.
And that VOA story marks the end of our bulletin. Before we wind up, let's have a quick recap of the headlines. President Paul Kagame on Tuesday highlighted that the global sustainability agenda should be one that delivers on its promise, notably without compromising Africa's industrialization efforts. Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente affirms that one of the lessons that Rwanda learned in the last 30 years is that it is key to center citizens at the core of economic transformation towards the country's development. On the international scale, in South Africa, more than 24 men have been rescued from an abandoned illegal gold mine in Stilfontein. And on that note, we come to the end of our English bulletin. On behalf of the news production team as well as the technical team, thank you very much for sticking with us on RTV News. My name is Martina Ibera. Stay safe and have a good night.